there's an incredible need. You see how many people are living just scratching the dirt, to make a living and just to get from one week to the next. And you don't have to be rich to have legal problems. And they deserve their day in court, they deserve representation, and in order to be treated fairly, they need somebody to go to bat for them. And I think that that Georgia Legal Services is directly responsible for keeping a lot of people in their homes, keeping food on the table, getting them their Medicaid and their whatever they need, the very basics of life, taking care of their children. They fight Goliaths for the little people every day.
I'm Phyllis Holman, and I'm the executive director, and I started working here in 1974. I've been executive director for 26 years, which I had no intention of doing when I first started out, but I was always learning things, hiring people for Georgia Legal Services, many of whom have stuck around for years and years as well, and who have become national heroes in their own fields throughout the country.
Well, I came here a long time ago.
I've been here since 1978.
I began working with Legal Services in 1978.
I have worked at GLSP since 1979.
I've been with Georgia Legal Service since June 15, 1979, which would be 37 years.
I've been with Georgia Legal Services as the health policy specialist for 37 years.
A number of years. 44 to be exact.
In October 27, I'll be here for 38 years.
In October, I'll be here 43 years.
I've been here 33 years.
29 years.
You've worked here 29 years?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know you were going to be here that long?
It was my intention to be.
After being here for like maybe 10 or 15 years, I felt that I would be here, as long as I could.
I thought this would be a stepping stone, but I've really enjoyed the work over the years, and right now I can't see myself doing anything else. I've worked with Georgia Legal Services program for 27 years.
This was just something that I was going to do for a short while and then retired 62, but now I'm 64, so.
How long does it feel?
Well, it feels like a long time, but because I have really loved my job the whole time, it doesn't feel like too long of a time.
I couldn't see going anyplace else.
I've worked with Georgia Legal Services for 38 years, and I've really had a pleasure.
In the 39 years that I've been here, we have become a much more sophisticated organization.
People who weren't here at the time probably don't realize that when we used to work on, have 2 or more offices working on a brief, for example, whichever office initiated the brief had to put it in a box and put it on the Greyhound bus to ship it to the other offices so that other attorneys and workers could take a look at it. They would have to make their changes. All this was done on an IBM typewriter. Had to be put back in the box and sent to the original office.
And in terms of our technological innovations, our ability to, interact or to negotiate with our adversaries.
We have had periods of time when we could go lobby at the state legislature, and frankly, I think that was some of the most valuable work that we could do for people because you could make systemic change.
When I first started working in the Augusta office, we filed federal lawsuits all the time.
There are many improved jail facilities around the state that wouldn't have been improved if Georgia Legal Services hadn't sued somebody. Occasionally the sheriffs would even say, you know what, y'all ought to sue me because we need a better jail.
So much has changed since I came. We had a lot more lawyers and paralegals and fewer potential clients.
Originally, when we opened the office, we actually served 17 counties. Well, we can't do that anymore with the size staff we have.
When I started in 1996, there were very few women attorneys and very few attorneys of color that we ever saw in the courtroom. And it has changed so much in 20 years.
Abby, if you've been here for almost 38 years, what has kept you working at Georgia Legal for that long?
I just think we have the greatest clients in the world. I think it's just such an honor to work with most of the people that I do. I don't know how they make everyday work.
When they come through the door, I see myself. It doesn't matter whether they're old, young, black, white, it doesn't matter.
It's for me, very humbling, because every time I think that, okay, everything is okay with me, I have a client who comes in and lets me know, but for the grace of God, there go I. It could be me.
You know, the famous quote, if you want peace, work for justice. I think that it's important to do that in your own backyard, as well as thinking about that on an international scale, that we have a lot of human rights issues that we need to address right here at home.
Society has become more and more complicated in terms of just how we navigate or how we maneuver in order to survive.
I started working with a low-income family. And that was when I really realized that all of the safety net benefits and all of the programs that the middle class believes are out there for families are out there. And that was really my first experience where I found out that that's not true. There aren't very many programs to help families. And so those few we have, we really need to protect them.
And we live in a country that really promises to try to have a lot of justice for all, but we see so much injustice.
You hear a lot in the news about welfare moms and people on welfare. Well, first of all, there is no longer welfare in this country.
I think it's important that Georgia Legal Services exists in the entire state of Georgia. Being a private attorney for most of my life, I could see that there were a number of people who could not afford to pay for my services.
You know, in the 154 counties that Georgia Legal Services serves, a lot of these places, you know, don't have attorneys. The median income of a lot of counties as well, a lot of these are prospective clients and could qualify for our services.
It's just very poor. So you've got those counties that maybe have one private attorney who's going to charge an arm and a leg. Like, there's just so many people that need help.
May not understand that there's a large population who do need legal assistance and can't afford it.
We get a lot of calls. We receive a lot of calls. At times, it's continuous.
And sometimes there are as many as 10,000 phone calls that come through.
There are people that come in with problems that you know, say, oh my God, I hadn't heard that before.
You get in a situation in a lot of those towns where people don't get a fair shake, especially if they don't have money, if they have the wrong last name, if they just get in a situation where they can't get out of it, and poverty perpetuates a lot of this stuff.
I have just been surprised kind of consistently seeing how difficult it is to be poor in Georgia.
You have people who are cobbling together public housing, food stamps, and Medicaid to make ends meet. But the primary depiction of folks who live in poverty is that they don't work. I have very few clients who do not work.
I saw that if they didn't have a legal services organization to come to, then no justice would be done.
Sometimes we're dealing with people who've never had a voice. No one's ever listened to them. And they finally have someone who's not just listening to them, but fighting for them.
There's a case that I'm currently working on right now where a client has been severely sexually abused through the years by multiple people, but currently by her landlord. And it's a very detailed situation, but speaking with her just yesterday and her telling me, when you met me, you told me not to worry about anything, so I'm not worried about anything. I've put this case in your hands. You've taken care of me thus far. I feel that I'm going to be okay with you.
And the look in the eyes of my clients at the end of those hearings, they felt so much relief just having those protective orders.
Well, I guess we all have stories about our clients. I had a client who was killed by her husband right after we were in court in 1983. The judge that I was in front of wasn't very sympathetic to DV victims, but he was after that. But I really think that the whole reason that happened that day is she was so different when we came out of the courthouse after she got her emergency order. I could just see a difference in her, and I think he could too.
Last week I talked to maybe 4 different women who were all sexual assault victims. And it's just one of those things where at the end of the week you just have to like really find a way to process that.
When I put myself in that person's position, how would I feel if it seems as if all odds are against me and no one cares?
I was at the basketball park playing basketball about 7 or 8 years ago, and I remember some of the kids, they were at the park and they knew me. You know, one of the kids said, "Mr. Foster, you don't have to lock your car. You help my auntie keep her apartment. We got you, Mr. Foster." They thought guarding my car while I played basketball, I guess, was a payment for helping do good in the community. But just those kind of things make you appreciate the kind of work that we do.
There have been so many, but I tell you, there was one case that I had for a young lady whose mother was trying to get her disability. She had a learning disability, and her mother felt by getting her the benefits, it would afford her to get better medical care, better psychiatric and psychological help, and it paid off because that young lady ended up graduating from her school, second in her class. And she didn't remain on disability because after a review, they realized that she got better. But the reason she got better is because her mother used those benefits to get her the special help she needed.
You see a person, and I think it's whether it's myself or any of the other attorneys who go out and do this great work in education, I think that when they see someone out there and they feel like they actually genuinely care about them, I think that makes a difference.
This child in particular had a special education issue. He had a disability. So we appealed, we fought to keep the child in school, and we also handled his special education issue. And due to our representation, he was able to go back to school immediately, plus get additional services that he should have gotten in the first place. And so that student went from essentially failing his classes to excelling, and now I recently heard he's going to be attending college this fall. With the courts, I haven't necessarily seen blatant discrimination. Now with school districts, that's another story.
I think being a black male, and a lot of the students that we see them as being African American students. So when you were student there, it's sort of like, this is someone who maybe gets what I'm going through a little bit.
Oftentimes what I do is that these community groups, low-income folks, minority groups, seem to be isolated in these rural counties where the county governments are basically controlled by the majority. And there's been years of neglect and disinvestment in these communities of color. The idea is to get more resources in the hands of the community.
So this year I worked with a couple of our cases to get folks back on rehire. And so that was about calling folks in Mexico to see if they were interested. Those who wanted it ended up coming here and working on those farms. And some have had very good experiences, very positive experiences, and they've seen how their case has changed the behavior of the farm. And I think that's a very gratifying thing for our clients.
What is your favorite part of your job?
It's the day-to-day, like helping someone, get food stamps. It's helping someone know that they're not going to be discharged from a nursing home, right? It's the hug that you get, or the email that you get, like when someone gets their name changed.
I like seeing people who think they have no options and discovering that they have options.
Opportunity to sit across the desk from someone and help someone somehow maneuver the system that is otherwise impenetrable.
The best thing that I like about my job is that I am able to have contact with my clients.
It's really nice to be able to, first of all, pick the clients that are in the most need.
As long as I can help make somebody's life a little bit better, just so that they can make it through day to day, that's the reason why I do it.
The clients are wonderful. They really appreciate everything you do for them. My favorite part of the job is being in hearings with my clients, winning for them, doing the best I can. Even if I can't win, at least letting them know that they're supported, they're believed.
Helping clients who, basically without our being here, wouldn't be able to have representation.
I really enjoy working with students in our education cases.
Just yesterday I was talking to a woman who she was having difficulty getting her grandchild into school. She didn't think I could hear her, but she was about to hang up the phone and she said, "Oh Lordy, God sure is good."
Day to day, what do you like about your job besides helping clients?
That's the number one thing that I like about my job. Outside of helping clients, what do I like about my job?
I like just kind of seeing where, folks come from, because we get these cases from, Sylvania or, Screven County or, Jenkins County or somewhere like that. And just kind of seeing, what our clients see daily.
Like being able to go all around the circuit area and going to different counties.
On a day-to-day basis, I like getting out of the office and getting into the community, whether it's circuit riding or going to a domestic violence task force and just talking with people, especially in some of our smaller counties where we don't have as big of a presence.
Going out, meeting people, and just helping people in that way.
I really do like doing the CEs, the community education events. I really like getting out in the community, just speaking with our clients and potential clients, because I'd rather prevent a problem and prevent them from having to come in and get our services than handle it on the back end. So I really like doing that.
Well, I really like working here. It was really no different than when I was volunteering, except I'm here every day and get a paycheck.
I enjoy it, and probably because of my personality too. I'm very outgoing. I like people. I'm a people person.
I really think it's talking to people.
My job as a receptionist, which I would like to classify my position as the skin of this program. My most favorite part of being a receptionist is, even though some people may say, what, is the callers.
Some days it's a walk in the park and some days it's back to back.
Doing the phone isn't so bad because you're always going to be a little entertained.
It's interesting. You hear a lot of stories.
My favorite part of the job is getting to try new things.
Well, I like working with numbers and spreadsheets.
I love doing the pleadings.
I'm behind the scenes. I do administrative work, but I make sure that all the legal workers and everybody in the office has what they need to do their job.
I enjoy the people I work with. Yeah.
The favorite part of my job is just talking with people.
I think it's the people I work with and the clients I work for.
I like dealing with people. I like dealing with people anyway, because I'm a people person. I like to make them laugh,
The people here, they're cool.
I just like dealing with the people. It's always different. It's not the same.
There's always a surprise in every person that you talk to.
It's never predictable.
Best way to describe it to people is never a dull moment.
It's always changing. Everything is always changing. Just when you think you've solved a problem with DFACS or the Social Security office, something else happens.
My favorite part of the work is when there's a puzzle that needs solving. So a client who has been denied, we don't believe that they were denied correctly, and then combing through the policy and finding the exact policy that shows that they should be eligible. That is my hands down favorite part.
So you get to try to fix a problem that someone has.
Sometimes I can tell from their frustrations with dealing with DFACS or just with their overall personal life situation that they're sometimes frustrated or feeling in despair. And I kind of like to be the person that gives them that relief or that lift in their spirit to make them feel better.
And I've seen
so much of a change in my community because I'm around a lot of elders, so I love seeing that.
A lot of these cases take a long time, and when you finally get that survey and see how much it meant to them, it makes it all worth it.
It's really nice to see that the work you do actually makes a difference for someone.
To be able to give people a voice who have not had a voice or had an opportunity to tell their story or to get what they're entitled to, it's really rewarding.
I have this luxury of being able to do work that's challenging, and I don't have to, have my clients have to pay me to be able to help them.
It's called burnout or compassion burnout, and I guess we all go through ups and downs in life, but at the end of the day, it's just worth it. It's worth helping the lawyers who actually are in court every day and who hear these stories every day to be the best they can be.
There have been times in the past where I wonder if I'm getting near burnout, and sometimes you feel overwhelmed. But every time I've gotten through that, and I still feel that I still get pissed off on behalf of my clients. And as long as I get pissed off on behalf of my clients, I feel like I'm in the right place.
Even when you've had a stressful day, it's good to know that you did it for the right reasons. You kind of helped turn somebody's life around.
Working for a mission-driven organization versus a profit-driven organization.
I'm really proud to work here, and so that makes coming into work every day fulfilling.
The challenges, the opportunities have been enormous, and I don't think I could have gotten an opportunity to have some of the experiences anywhere else.
What we do here is helping people and changing lives, and you can't place a monetary value on that.
I love what I do.
Least favorite part of the job?
I guess it will be the same for just about any lawyer. You have to deliver the bad news, and I hate when I feel like there's nothing I can do.
It's the part that I hate. I'm sorry, that's not something that we handle. We can't assist you.
My least favorite part of the job is probably the people we can't help.
I was thinking the other day, if I hear one more horror story, I don't know.
You know that you're probably the only person that's maybe can give that person the opportunity to have an advocate, and you have to tell them that you can't do it. I think that's really difficult.
Sometimes you do have to say no, and that has always been hard for me, and it's still hard.
The slow pace of change.
My least favorite part of the job is probably dealing with timesheets.
The drive.
All the traveling.
It's a lot of travel.
Sitting behind a desk all day.
The hardest part is
there's some people that are really mean. You just have to know how to handle them.
Well, sometimes the calls get overwhelming.
It's not always easy just to forget the person that's been on the phone crying and spilling their life out to you and so desperate for help.
That's hard to say. It's probably when I can't resolve something quickly and I know someone needs it.
I would say dealing with the computer.
Now that's a good question.
I have to be honest. I don't have the least favorite part of the job.
I'm terrible at taking notes and keeping time.
Administrative requirements.
Such as?
Should I expound?
Oh gosh, I guess with the years, there's no part that's hard right now. It's all exciting, but no hard work.
Because none of it's really hard anymore. I've been doing it for so long, I could do it with my eyes closed.
Well, for me, it's like IT. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
I just wish I got paid more money.
There are days you just sit in your office and you do paperwork all day, which has to be done.
My least favorite part of the job is probably, I guess, losing.
learn their stories and you try to help them because you want to fix the problem that they're facing. But you also see that the problems that they're facing are problems that many other people are facing too. And so then it's an opportunity to use that problem on an individual basis to create larger change.
I defend a lot of housing authority and subsidized housing eviction cases. And I go to court, and oftentimes, the property managers, the landlords, whomever, look sideways at my client because they have this perception that my client's on the government dole. And my response to that is, well, wait a minute. You signed an agreement so you could get money from the government, which means you're on the government dole, and the only reason I'm standing here is because you're not following the rules.
I think the character of legal services is that as a collective, we have a sense of mission. There are many people here who, like me, don't just want a job. We're people who want to get up every day and have a sense of mission and to feel that there's some action we can take that day that can have a positive impact.
The way I think being more of a statewide law firm could impact our work would be allow us to take on bigger cases. I just don't think anyone else has the expertise and the knowledge that we have on these programs.
If you're going to have these programs, they have to work for the people they serve. And we're the only thing that makes sure that that happens, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see anybody else in my community picking that up.
We have so many great attorneys in every office, and every time we get the opportunity to meet and talk with someone who we may not know very well, but get a little bit of their expertise, I think it makes us all better.
We have this great resource, right? We're all over the state. How many organizations are in Macon and Augusta and Savannah and Columbus? Not many. And we have data and we have people in all those parts of the state. So you can look for things that are causing problems everywhere.
So if we could come together more and pool those resources, I think we could do a lot of good.